Hi ladies. Today we're going to talk about how to do a quick little tessellation in Adobe. So assuming that you've made and followed all the directions to make your tessellation, this is going to be super easy. Just like everything else, make sure that when you scan in your photograph that it's not missing any information, because getting that back in Adobe can be difficult. So to start, you're going to open Adobe. You will go to File, you'll go to New, and you want to make sure your document is 12 inches by 12 inches. So make sure it says inches in the mode, 12 and 12. And your title will just be your initials, and then translation, because these are translation tessellations. So we'll do that. You have your artboard. Remember, you can zoom by using your fingers on the mouse pad, zoom in or out. And let's get rid of this. Close. So you'll go to File and Place. You want to go to wherever you have your image saved on your computer. So let's go, this is my little tessellation. There we go. And you'll see it's kind of attached to your mouse. You might remember this from Mandala. Once you click on your artboard, it's going to let it go, and it's going to probably be pretty large because most of you have camera files that are large. Also, make sure this is a JPEG. Over here you can see image. This is the name of the photo. It's image2901.jpg. Make sure it's .jpg because .pdf will not work. And now we have to just make this into a vector image. Right now it's just a photograph because it's a JPEG. We will make it a vector. So the first thing we do is we have to do image trace. Image traces may be up here. It's in your options bar. For some of you, your options bar is up top. For some of you, it's on the side. Again, either one is fine. Just kind of look over your interface and see where it is. And let's pick black and white logo. And just give it a second to transcribe the information. There we go. Looks good. And now we're going to do a series of things. We are first going to expand it because that'll make it a vector. And now it's been expanded. You can see it's all in blue. It's all selected. And the next thing we're going to do is clean it up a little bit. We have all this kind of stuff around it. So I'm going to go to my direct selection tool, which is the white arrow. I'm going to click in this white space, out of the white space, back in it, and then hit delete. That gets rid of my background. And I'm going to start selecting off all the stuff that I don't want to keep. Delete. Try and get all of it so I don't accidentally have it in there later, and that should be everything. A couple little more stuff up here. Okay, that's now cleaned up. And that's all done with the direct selection tool. Now, if I hit V, I'm back to my black arrow, my selection tool. Remember, if I want to move it, I have to grab it on a mark. If I try and grab it in here, it won't move it. But if I grab it on a line, I can move it around. And see how it's so much bigger than my artboard? That has to get fixed. So the way to make it resized, and this is important, you have to make sure you hold down Shift and then pull in at a corner. If you don't hold Shift down, you're going to change portions of this thing that you measured so carefully. So don't make all that effort worthless. Hold Shift down on your keyboard, go to a corner, drag it in, and don't let go of Shift until after you let go of your mouse. Oops, come back up here. Now, as far as size goes, I would say get your image so that at least one side is below 2 inches. Let's get, that looks good. You don't want to have an image that's too big on your artboard because it's going to look a little silly if your image is huge. So make sure that at least one side is under 2 inches. And what we do now is we would fill it in. But in case you haven't checked your artwork, so my image is selected, I have my selection tool selected. If I hit K, my paint bucket, I can start filling in colors, but it's not going to let me fill in here. See how I'm getting that little no arrow, that little no icon by my paint? That's because I did not look carefully enough and I actually have a gap here. So if you get to this stage and you still have a gap, you have to start over. You have to go back to your original artwork, go over your lines, rephotograph it, upload it. But again, this only takes 2 seconds. So Once your work, though, is cleaned up and it's under 2 inches, let's see if I have, there we go. So it should look something like this. And when you want to fill it with paint, remember you select it with your selection tool. You then hit K to activate your paint bucket. You go to, this is your fill, this is your stroke. You go to your fill, you start picking your colors. And I suggest, as you work through your options, let's go with a cooler gray, that you take some time and make some interior details that are really cute and look good. So let's get a little pink ear. And you know what, I'm going to take a quick minute to paint on some toes. So if you, that's over the edge. Remember, you don't want anything over the edge of your artwork. And lastly, let's just make the tail a little fluffy and white. Oops. Okay. That could be better, but just for the sake of an example, it's good enough. Now, you should have probably more than one color scheme for your artwork. So what that means is I'm going to take this guy, I'm going to hit my selection tool, I'm going to draw a selection over everything. Since I added details, I want to make sure I go to Object and group all my details together. So now everything's kind of merged together. And now if I hit Command C on my keyboard and then Command V, I'll get an exact copy. So what I should do is maybe make this one slightly different just so it has a little more variety. You don't want to have every repeating image or tessellation be exactly the same. So let's take you and let's hit K and let's change the colors. Let's go to a dark charcoal. Okay. Again, good enough for the example. So now what you're going to do is you only want to make sure that you copy from this one original. You don't want to change the size of anything at this point. So if I take this guy, and he should fit with no seams and no gaps. And what I'm going to basically just do is copy and paste. And you can decide how you arrange everything, but it should all fit in together. If you're having trouble figuring out how to make it match in Adobe, maybe go back to like a piece of paper and practice to see how it fits in. But if all the work up until now was correct, then they should all fit pretty perfectly. So you can have more than 2 colors if you would like. You can have more than 2 varieties. But everything's going to look good. But you basically just do this until you fill up your whole page. You want to make sure that you go beyond the boundary of your page. So let's just quickly show you what that means. You don't want to have any blank spots along the edge of your work. So that means your tessellation should go beyond this artboard border. When we print, it won't print beyond the border. So let's take you, copy paste, drag you over here. Okay, so see how these bunnies go off the edge? This is what you want all the way around. And that way when we print it, you won't have any gaps. Oops, sorry about that bell. So that's pretty much it. It's super simple, way easier than the mandalas. And make sure when you're done with this, you have to upload it to Canvas. It has to get uploaded there so I can review all your choices in Canvas. All right, enjoy.